All right, teammates. So I am fired up and excited to bring to the microphone in the training stage. Man, this young lady is dynamic. When you talking about somebody that's functioning in their role, I don't know where she hides her cape, but she be from one meeting to the next, one call to the next, but she does it all with grace and style, with a smile on her face. She's a very great communicator. And I'm telling you right now, she is passionate about Primerica and what we do for families. So I want to introduce to you guys, a regional VP of sales of the Southwest region, Ms. Xochi Lopez, to talk to us about what do we actually have our hands on in this life insurance space and what separates us from a lot of different competition out there. So I want you guys, do me a favor. If you don't mind, show me your notebook. Show me your notebook on the screen. If you're a note taker, show me your notebook. There we go. We got notebooks up, right?
Notebooks. Yes.
This is going to be that session to take notes. You want to take notes, and it's going to be an opportunity at the end for you to ask questions. So as Xochi trains, if you have a question, write it down. We will answer all questions at the end of the training. And then please be sure to hold on to the end because we got a bombshell announcement. All right, y'all gonna hold on to the end. Raise your hand if you're holding on to the end for the bombshell. You don't want to miss it. You don't want to miss it. All right. So without further ado, I'll turn it over to the awesome and amazing Miss Xochi Lopez.
Absolutely. Thank you. Thank you so much, Nick. Thank you all of my RVPs who are on this evening for having me on. It's always wonderful to see your beautiful faces and to get to spend a little bit of time with you and just kind of catch up with everything that's going on in our world here at Primerica and of course within our product and what we are doing and different advancements and different changes and different, technological things that change within not just our application system, but, different things like having access to getting clients to sign documents now via DocuSign and not necessarily having to have them sign everything in wet, signatures, right? And so it's great to see all of you guys. I'm so happy to be here. And Nicholas, again, thank you so much for having me on. And hopefully all of you guys stick through. I am going to share a lot of information with you this evening. Again, we're just kind of doing a recap. It's been a little while since I've seen some of your faces. Some of you don't necessarily know who I am just yet, right? So I'll kind of talk through what I do, who I am, right? And what I represent and everything when it comes to home office. So we'll go ahead and start. My trainings are sometimes all over the place in the sense of, I want to make sure you guys get access to the information, but more importantly, I want to be able to show you where to find the information, right? Because you're not going to remember every single thing that I talk about this evening, right? So I'll start with my slides. We'll kind of start through and go with the information, and then we'll kind of go back and forth with POL. So you guys actually know where everything is and you're able to actually locate the information for yourself, okay? But for 2024, first and foremost, to kind of get started and catch you guys up on the life insurance team and what our marketing campaign has been this year. Our campaign is be all in and go all out, right? That's essentially what our motto was for 2024. And we definitely made the selection for our motto with convention in mind, right? This is a huge year for Primerica. This is the last year that we have convention before we hit 50 years in business, you guys. That's major for us. We're about to turn 50 years old, and as most of you know, we won't have a convention again until after we reach 50, right? And it's all because of that World Cup. They're going to be hosting the World Cup at the Mercedes-Benz Stadium, and so we essentially lost our spot, and that's why we have to wait, right? There's a bigger event than that's pretty huge, right? To think that what got Primerica out of the Benz, right, Andrea, is the actual World Cup. That's pretty big. And so as you guys get registered, for those of you that aren't already registered, I have so much to say about convention, you guys. This is my third convention. The first two times that I actually went as a partner of Primerica, in the sense of I worked over at AIG, which is one of the annuity partners on our platform. And I essentially am probably here today because of convention. And I'm on a different side, right? Because I work with the corporate side of the business. I work with home office, but essentially what the impact of Primerica's convention can have on your life. You guys, like Nick said, it's so hard to touch on it in just a meeting and get you guys to truly understand the difference that this convention can make in your life. But trust your leaders when they tell you, okay, this is, they're not getting paid to tell you to come to convention. They're not getting paid for you registering to go to convention, right? This is more so them allowing you within what they have in their realm, right? For you to see the size and the type of impact that this event can have on your life. And so I hope to see all of your faces there. I hope to see, you know, all of my RVPs with as many people from their team that could be there. That's always the best part, right? It's actually being at convention with your team. And so if you have any questions, right, reach out. If you want to know, you know, how do I get there? How do I move around while I'm there? You know, make sure you bring your sweaters because it does get cold at the convention. Make sure you bring comfy shoes, right? But you guys, more than anything, just be prepared for everything you're going to learn. You're going to be exposed to so many different stories. You're going to hear about so many different wonderful, fun partners and different products that we offer as a company, and truly, truly get to see the sides of Primerica. I mean, Atlanta, downtown Atlanta literally becomes Primerica world. If you're excited for Universal Studios and for what you're going to get to do, you know, the whole fact that we have the whole place shut down, no lines, fully paid for, you know, all-inclusive experience. I mean, can you only imagine being in a city and walking around freely and you're pretty much within the four walls of like a corporate building, right? Because everyone is Primerica, the school, the street signs, I mean, everything. It's truly an amazing event, you guys. So I just wanted to put my 2 cents into convention just because Nick got me so excited just hearing him talk about it, and the fact that he got Vanessa to go, you know, really early within your career, and the type of impact that it's made on your life. I mean, that's truly amazing. So I'm going to go ahead and completely get back on track. Okay. But our motto for this year is be all in, go all out, right? We wanted everyone to do as much as they could for this convention year and the sense of recognition. One of the most important things for us here at Primerica is recognition. That's truly what differentiates the business side of us, right? The sense of, you know, the fact that you get recognition from your leaders are there to coach you. I mean, we as home office representatives, as Nick kind of told you guys, I'm your regional sales manager within the life insurance department. And so I am here to support usually the RVPs, right? But I support everyone. We're all one team, one dream, right? So we're here to support you guys in the sense of making sure that you have someone to reach out to if you ever have any doubts, concerns, or you just need a little bit of guidance regarding, you know, how to find information or who to contact for a specific situation. We're here. There's me. I'm the regional sales manager for life. You have your FDD, who's John Water Street, that covers Houston, Texas, right? Just depending on where you guys are within the country. You have your TSMs or your territory sales managers. You have, you know, everyone at home office, and we'll talk through the different departments here in just a second. But when it comes to our company and what we represent, you know, we want to continue that be all in, go all out, not only for what you can achieve within your career and your goals, but also for what we represent within the industry, you guys. And as of 2022, I'm going to hold on and I'm going to talk about this as long as I can because they haven't named anybody else. The #1 most trusted life insurance company since 2022 is Primerica, right? And this is more than anything something that you should all be proud of, because almost every single person that's in this meeting was a part of this, right? Was a part of what allowed our customers to feel like we were the most trusted representative within their financial services. This is huge. This is something that differentiates us just within itself. You don't even have to get into product, right? It's just, hey, we were voted the #1 most trusted life insurance company in 2022. And not only was that something that we were given, but we were also labeled #3 in the sense of financial services, in the sense of where we stand, what our financial standings are within the actual industry, right? And that's something that you guys have to, you know, harness and use this information, right? Make sure that you put that confidence in your clients, and it all becomes a part of the bigger picture, right? And understanding how to run a profitable business, right? And that's essentially full circle what you come to, right? It's all the learning that you have to do, and that's part of being competent, right? And aside from being competent, when you become competent in a product, you become confident, right? And that's essentially our two major goals. It's gaining the competence to feel confident to be able to go out and close, right? That's what I always tell my agents. I'm like, without those two things, it's going to be hard for you to go out there and get a commitment and a strong close with your clients. And this right here is the first initial thing that you can use anytime that you are talking to someone about what you represent or what you do within the financial services industry. And not only that, you guys, but as a life insurance company in 2023, we ranked number 2 in the amount of coverage that we provided for our clients within the US. And this does not exclude anybody else, okay? This does not exclude whole life, cash value life insurance companies. We were able to actually move from the number 4 spot to the number 2 spot, right? And so we have no doubt that we can move up to number 1 and get Northwestern Mutual out of that comfortable spot. When it comes to term life insurance companies, we also ranked number 2. But just to give you guys an idea of understanding of what are we ranking number 2 and number 1, or number 2 and across all levels, right? Across all different comparisons, whole life insurance, cash value, term life insurance. It's that we are able to average out more coverage for our clients than most of our competitors. So what does that mean? That means that first and foremost, we understand and we are able, and we're continuing to teach our clients what's right? And that's teaching them how to buy term and invest the difference. But not only are we doing that, we are running assessments to determine and make sure that we are offering every single one of our clients the correct or the adequate amount of coverage. And we're going to talk about competitive intelligence here in just a second, but that's what makes me so proud of these numbers. It's the fact that we are able to beat out and be above average when the industry standard, especially for whole life or cash value life insurance policies, is about $60,000 per policy, whereas ours are averaging about $224,000 per policy, right? So it's something important for you to understand and really truly grasp what the company's mission is, and just understand that you are going to be a part of Primerica becoming number 1, because you're going to go all in, or you're going to be all in, and you're going to go all out because you truly understand the mission, right? And if you have never heard our mission as a company, I'm sure that you would have been able to put it together just based on leadership, based on everything that you hear, your RVPs talk about and what their mission is, and making sure that clients truly understand what these products can do. And so our mission, I'll just flat out read it so that you know exactly what it is it's number 1, as we already know, because first and foremost, we're the number 1 most trusted life insurance company in the country. But number 2, right, we ranked number 2 in the amount of coverage that we provide for our clients. So we understand that our mission is to help families, first and foremost, become properly protected, teach them how to become debt-free, and more than anything, make sure that they understand that they can all gain that insurance independence that they're looking for, or that financial independence, whether it's through the opportunity as a person who becomes a licensed agent and starts a business of their own, or through the actual strategy that we're offering to our clients of buying term and investing the difference, right? And so my mission as the regional sales manager is to make sure that I'm here to assist and support the growth of every single base shop in any way that I can, right? And of course, aside from me, because I cover about 806 RVPs, right? You have an entire team of over 2,500 people that are dedicated to this at home office, okay? And so as we continue through, let's go ahead and talk a little bit about resources, just to kind of go through a refresh. As I mentioned before, I like to go in and out of POL just to make sure that you guys can follow along and find the information. So let me log in real quick. I do have to log in just like everybody else. And sometimes it does make me change my password even when I'm doing a presentation. But today we got in pretty easily, right? So whenever you log into POL, first and foremost, you might see something a little different. I do have access as RVP, so there are a few little things that I have access to that you may not. But when it comes to generally accessing POL, it's going to look the same, okay? So to access the life insurance microsite, you go products, life insurance. That's going to take you directly to the life insurance microsite on POL. This is extremely important for you to become familiar with, right? Again, it's more so being able to find the information. If you ever have any questions, doubts, or you're just looking for personal development, right? I heard that Nicholas was talking about that. You want to improve not only your wealth, but your health, right? Is not learning a part of our health? Doesn't that allow us to continue to move forward and grow as human beings and ultimately provide us with a little bit more wealth? Absolutely, right? That's essentially what you're doing by becoming a more competent, more confident agent when it comes to the products that you're offering to your clients. And so if you look on this main screen, you're going to see a few different access links that you can select from. Latest news is pretty much going to have just that, right? So it's going to give you any updated information, any new trainings, any new information that we've released regarding the life insurance business. Now, there's a couple things I do want to touch on. You do have access now to beginning a claim for a beneficiary directly through POL. This is something that did launch in April, towards the end of April of this year. And so you can actually now, if you go to POL, to your All Apps for Business and Client Management, I don't have access to it, I don't think, on my end. I can't click on it and actually show you anything because I don't have a book of business, but you should be able to access the claim section right here on POL. So if you click on it, it'll take you directly to begin the process to start your client's actual or your beneficiary's claim, right? Of course, like I said, I don't have a book of business, so it doesn't give me access to do that, but it does allow you to access updated information like that directly through the microsite. So right now you have access to the claims dashboard. You do also have access to information regarding the updates that we made to the policy digital deliveries, right? So again, you heard me mention, whenever your client's policies issue and you have something like a policy being rated or anything that causes a change in a policy, it requires an amendment or a basic illustration to be signed by a client. And now you have access to sending that directly to your clients from your life manager, right? Your life manager on POL. That should be something that you are tracking if you're submitting business on a day in and day out basis, right? You should be checking your life manager and sending out any information to your clients just to make sure that their policy and everything gets issued without any problems, right? So that's another thing. But aside from that, kind of run through, see all the different things. One of the major things that a lot of people were waiting for this update to happen regarding the application is that on our life application now, you are actually able to unlock the application if you enter the incorrect email address or the cell phone number, right? So whenever we launched our new application, that was a major change. We now had to use DocuSign, and so we couldn't allow people to go back and forth with the email feature just because of how it works behind the scenes. And somehow they were able to do it. And so now you are able to change the email one time, I think, depending on how you enter it in, it allows you up to 2 times, but just think I'm only able to do it once, right? So that you don't run into any problems and have to start over. And then same thing for the cell phone. If for whatever reason the client gave you a digit wrong or something wasn't entered correctly, you are able now to go in there and update that information. The other major update that we made is the spouse data prefill. So that was another change that we made when we launched our new product. You were no longer able to combine 2 people on one policy, right? We switched away from that. That's an industry, that's something that the industry is completely changing up. Everybody's veering away from having joint policies, and there's a whole reason behind that. We understand that was a part of our business before, but we've evolved, right? We all continue to evolve as the industry evolves. And so now clients who are submitting an application for themselves as well as their spouse are able to use information from one application for another application if the spouse is wanting to do an application. And so again, RVPs, if that's something you want to refresher on, don't hesitate to reach out. But I did want to make sure your teams were aware that those are 2 new features that you can now access. So you can unlock the application to change the email, and you can now begin another application for a spouse directly from an application you just filled out. Okay, so training on that is available under this latest news. You'll have access to all the presentations and the walkthrough on how that can be completed. Aside from that, you've got different webinars, your quick links, product information. If you're looking for information on Primerica Power Term, right, you can access this. But on the library, you actually have access to a few flyers as well that are client friendly, right? So if you're trying to send them a brochure, you just close someone on a Primerica Power Term policy and you want them to access a few of the features that I'm going to talk about tonight, you can definitely send them a copy of these flyers, right? So you have access to your Power Term, your Primerica Precision Term flyer. You have access to a sample policy if you want to read through an example of what our policies look like. If you've never seen an actual policy for a client before, you have access to your agent quick reference guide, which serves as like a cheat sheet for you in case you ever have any questions regarding eligibility for the product, regarding minimum age, maximum age. You can pull these up in English, Spanish. If you have any downlines that ever need anything in Spanish, we do have all the resources, or the main ones, right? The main brochures, translated over to Spanish and French as well. So all of this information is accessible through the microsite. So definitely access that if you have any questions or need something to resource. Go ahead, Nick.
Xochi, real quick, I think that you probably need to reshare your screens because I think you're going through the website, but it's still on your PowerPoint presentation.
Oh, it's still on PowerPoint. I'm sharing my screen. That is so weird. Y'all couldn't see anything I was doing. Okay, there we go. Thank you,
You're
Nick.
doing such a great job explaining it. It just dawned on me. I was like, oh, dang, I think she's on the website.
That is so funny. Yes,
now we
thank
see it.
you.
We're good. We're good.
Yes. Okay. So this is the latest news that I was showing you guys. Now this will make a little bit more sense. So on the latest news, these are all the different presentations I was talking about. If you just click on it, it'll pull up the presentation. You guys can access the information regarding the claims dashboard, the policy digital deliveries, and all of that. Thank you, Nick, for letting me know. So that's that section. This is the library that I was just talking about. This is your agent quick reference guide, which I said is like your cheat sheet. A lot of questions I get usually are regarding underwriting and, what are qualifications or what are going to be, requirements for clients who are submitting policies. You have access to the chart for that. These are the power term and precision term flyers that I was, talking about, kind of showing you guys through. If you wanted to save a copy of all of these, you could save them to your iPhone, save them to your iPad, your computer, whatever it is that you're using when you're closing out your clients, so that you can send them over that information regarding whatever topic specifically you want to cover. Whenever I talk about, just kind of gaining or impacting your clients and providing them with that really great, goes all above and beyond client experience, it's more so providing them with information, guys. It's kind of the same thing for us. For us to feel confident in this product, we want to understand the ins and outs. We want to understand, what is the credibility of our product? How do we compare to other companies? And so do our customers, right? So if we stay ahead of them and we provide them with all the information and we make sure they feel all warm and fuzzy with what we're providing for them, then it's going to avoid them going out and asking other people or going out and shopping for pricing, right? They're not necessarily going to be interested because they know that they can trust you. They know that you're their go-to person and you're going to always fill in the gaps when they may not necessarily be that familiar with a particular product. And so there's, aside from just the regular flyers on there, you do have access to a couple more. And I'm going to talk about them because they're important in understanding how we differentiate ourselves from the rest of the companies that also offer term life insurance, because when it comes to product, right, we offer a pure protection term life insurance product. It shouldn't be hard to understand, right? That's why we were, in my knowledge, from what I understand, to this day, we are still the first company to completely rewrite their life insurance contract 100% of the way. We rewrote our contract at a 10th grade reading level. And that may sound silly, right? Like, why do we put a specific? Well, it's because we want to make sure that we can provide a solution and that our clients understand exactly what they're purchasing. And so we rewrote our contract, like I said, at a 10th grade reading level, so everyone can understand what their product is comprised of, what they have access to, what type of coverage we're going to provide them. And it's also built out in like a question and answer format, right? So that our client understands everything and all the details regarding all the riders that we offer, the riders that are included in their pricing, and then the riders that they are paying an additional premium for, right? And so when it comes to comparing our product, you want to be able to give your clients as much information ahead of time as you possibly can. And one of the brochures that's going to help in doing that, or one of the flyers that I love specifically, is what to expect when a life claim is filed. Can you guys see this brochure that I just pulled up? Okay, so this brochure is now we have to think a little bit in the sense of, does everybody always tell everybody that they have life insurance? Probably not, right? And then number two, does everybody tell their beneficiaries that they are their beneficiaries, right? Probably not, right? If I bought life insurance when I was 22 years old because I started working in the corporate world and I understood what life insurance was, and I had my little brother listed as my beneficiary, I didn't go tell my little brother, hey, I have a life insurance policy and you're my beneficiary, right? It just wasn't something that I was comfortable telling him. And it just wasn't, it's just one of those things that we are in business with having to feel comfortable talking about two of the most uncomfortable things, right? And that's people's finances and death, right? Unfortunately, that is what it is, right? That's what we do. And so having a form or having something that you can provide to your clients at closing or at follow-up when their policy has issued is a great tool to have, because you can simply explain to your client, look, Mr. or Mrs. Client, you just recently purchased life insurance with us, right? I just want to make sure that you're comfortable, that you understand now that you have your policy, what would have to happen should something happen to you, right? Just to make sure that your loved ones are protected, right? And so this document basically is something that they can hide under their bed. They can put in their folder with their living trust. They can add it wherever they want to make sure that when something does happen to them, that their loved ones can simply find this document and know, okay, they had life insurance with Primerica, right? They know that there's some reason that this person has this document. And here it simply walks them through what the steps are going to be. Who do you need to contact, right? What is the first thing that you should be doing? Then how are those benefits actually going to be paid out? How does the company work? What are the expectations that the beneficiary should have? Aside from that, what are some other situations that we can run into? For example, what if an insured passes away in another country, right? This is extremely important to understand. A lot of companies completely exclude this, right? They say, okay, if you didn't die on US land, and let's add to that, if you didn't die on US land and you died due to a terrorism attack or something like that, or a war and terror attack, whatever it was, then they're going to exclude that coverage. Well, Primerica never does. Number one, we have a war or terror clause on our policies, meaning that we will pay out any claim, any life benefit for any client who passes away due to a terrorism attack, regardless of what country they are in. And that's extremely important to help clients understand the importance of differentiating us from everybody else. It's not just that $30 premium, right? It's understanding everything that you're covering and or not covering, right, on a policy that doesn't specifically state it in their policy, right? And so unless we specifically exclude it, we're going to cover it, right? And so that's extremely important for you to explain to your clients. So first and foremost, if somebody dies in another country, we're going to cover it. Number two, what if the beneficiary lives in another country? Well, usually, right, other companies are not going to pay out. Again, something to differentiate yourself and get the client to understand that Primerica is special and different, and that we are going to find a solution regardless of where this client passes their way or where their beneficiary lives. And so I just wanted to show you this brochure as an additional tool for you to use to help your clients feel more confident, right, in the type of product and the type of solution that you're offering. Aside from that, you've got access to a beneficiary form similar to that, and so much more, guys. Go into POL. If you've never visited the microsite, you have access to a practice application, right? It takes you through everything. When you're training new teammates, that's an easy tool for them to use to get comfortable and confident in going through the actual life application process, okay? And so we talked through all those resources already. I said that I was going to talk about home office a little bit, just the departments and kind of what everybody does. And so I am completely outside of these departments, right? Marketing is a whole department within itself. And so you can contact us 24/7. You know, we're going to be available. We're going to be out in the field. We're not home office reps. You know, we don't sit at a desk all day. We're typically out in the field with you guys at base shops and doing trainings. But we do have departments that are specifically tailored and that help assist in specific places, right? For example, your new business department, those are the people that handle all the new applications, all the conversions, any information that's submitted to home office that is going to require some sort of decision goes to new business first. Underwriting then reviews everything, and they're the ones that determine whether or not we need additional information, or if a policy, you know, can be issued, or if we're adding additional coverage and we need additional underwriting requirements, right? They're the ones that determine all that. Then you have policy owner services, you have your premium administration team, and then of course the claims department, right? And so if you are ever in a situation where you need any support in understanding anything from any of these teams, reach out, okay? Reach out to the department. Obviously, if you have an initial question, if you're just trying to find information on something, but always reach out in line of leadership. Ask your RVPs. If your RVPs aren't sure, RVPs, please come to me, right? If there's ever a situation where you feel like, okay, we've gone to this department, we're looking for information on this, we're looking for clarification on this, or who to submit this application or this reconsideration to, right? Those are all things that I can kind of help and fill that gap between you guys and all these different departments. Okay. And so just remember, if you're ever in doubt and you're just not sure who to call, you can always reach out to myself or any of your marketing teammates. Okay. And so these are the important resources that we want to make sure you're familiar with. The micro site, of course, on POL, your life operations guide. You guys, this serves as like your life insurance Bible. Okay. It's going to have information ranging all the way from how do I know if a client's eligible for the product? How do I, what are hot topics? What are different things that I should know about the application process before I even start? All the way through claims, right? How do I file a claim? How do we pay out a claim? How does that process work? Your agent quick reference guide, and then of course your training and development section on POL. So these are all the main hubs of information that you want to be able to access on POL. Aside from that, when it comes to credibility and quality as a life insurance company, we have already talked about the power of Primerica, right? The power of the fact that we are and continue to be the #1 most trusted life insurance company. But not only that, we're currently rated A+ by AM's Best. State Farm used to be one of our major competitors, and now they are rated, I think, A. They lost their plus, which was huge when it comes to the industry, the insurance industry or the insurance world. It's major to lose any type of ranking within your rates, right? And so aside from that, 5.7 million lives at this point, we've got more than 6 million lives insured through us. 91 is the actual rate right now. 91% of our claims are paid within 14 days. So we're one of the fastest paying life insurance companies within the industry, right? Paying out our claims 91% of the time within that 14-day period. Over 1.8 billion paid out in claims in 2023, making our average about $5 million every single day. Of course, that did drop a little bit from 2022. In 2022, we were still losing a lot of people, unfortunately, to COVID. And so we did have more payout in the sense of death benefits. But that doesn't mean that changed the financial strength of Primerica, right? That's just a change in kind of what was going on within the industry. But aside from that, we still hold that ranking that I said before. But why? What is it, right? What is Primerica doing that's different? What are we doing and teaching our clients that's different from everybody else? It's not just our buy term and invest the different solution, right? It's the fact that we actually know how to use that approach by educating our clients. You guys, that's the major part, and that is the huge role that you play right now within this industry, right? So we're showing our clients, right? This is the most important part of it, okay? We're showing them how to protect their greatest asset, right? Which we understand as their income, right? And so we're making sure with our coverage quadrant, which we'll go over it one day, when we come back, and I like to do that one in my how to close presentation, but we talk about the 4 coverage quadrants, right? Where you typically have someone who has no insurance. As you see on this screen, you have someone who is essentially insured through some sort of life insurance product under group insurance, or you have someone who's insured through cash value life insurance, right? Those are typically the 3 other types of customers or clients that you're going to run into in the industry. When it comes to a client who has no insurance, this is someone who's living in uncertainty, fear, worry, and they probably have no idea. They have no idea the type of loss that their family would suffer should something happen to them too soon. Should they die too early? Should they die in those younger years when they are building up their families, when they're, starting to have better jobs, when they're starting to buy homes, get mortgages, buy cars, right? Racking up that debt as you start getting your kids into school. Nowadays, a lot of people are paying for private school, right? So many other costs are adding up. And not only that, but we always feel like we can't approach a customer just because they're not familiar or comfortable with insurance. You guys, they just don't know. That's what we have to realize, that our customers and that our audience doesn't even know sometimes what type of solution they could have at their fingertips. And so as you see on the screen, this is just an example of that type of client, somebody who's living in uncertainty, fear, or worry, essentially not spending any additional costs or putting anything towards a financial game plan. Whereas if we were able to teach them that just by them understanding, taking an assessment of what their current liabilities are and determining how much coverage they need, with just 2 life insurance policies on John and Mary, age 30, age 28, that for less than $3 a day, they could essentially be protecting their family from any type of financial distress should one of them die too early at just $75 a month, right? Are they someone who understands at this point that they're leaving their family essentially high and dry if something happens to them? Probably not. They've never really sat down and thought about it. Then you run into the client who has life insurance through group insurance. This is someone who does understand that insurance exists, that it's an option, that it's a benefit, right? Because it's typically something that they're offered through work. And I never like to say, you don't always have to attack it, right? If you have group insurance through work or some sort of solution, that's okay, right? It's a benefit that you're offered. It's a benefit that you deserve. It's something that you should rightfully own, right? But it doesn't mean that you should put all of your eggs in one basket, right? Like they say, you definitely need to understand that although you have this product and although this may be a solution for you, this isn't always the best solution. Why? Because group life insurance, you're not the owner. You have no control over the type of coverage. You have no control over the portability of this product. And it's also limited, right? It only allows a certain amount of coverage, usually either dependent on how much your mortgage is, if it's a mortgage life insurance policy, or depending on how much your salary is through work, right? Because they're going to determine how much coverage you can have based on that. Now, aside from that, they put limitations. For example, I've heard of companies where a client literally gets injured on site to the point where they lose their life at the hospital, right? And just because that customer did not pass away on the premises at the actual location of where they worked, they were able to make it to the hospital or whatever the situation was, because of the way those policies are written in their exclusions, that won't pay out, right? And so we want to make sure that we're able to teach our clients that, yes, you understand the responsibility of insurance. You understand what the solution can do for you, but also understand that if you leave tomorrow, that policy gets canceled. You have no portability. You don't own it. You don't control it. If the company decides that they want to cut back, then they're going to cut back. And that's one of those things that they can completely remove. And so you having something outside of group coverage is extremely important, right? You want to make sure that it's attainable. Again, giving them the same example. Whereas if you were to purchase 2 life insurance policies, you'd be spending less than $3 a day and you'd be protecting your family, right? By $300,000 in coverage, right? 150 each person that's covered. So which program is going to give them a better peace of mind, right? Which solution? Is it thinking that maybe, if something happens through work, I know I'm covered. Whereas I know that no matter what, that if I were to pass away and die too soon, that my family would be protected. And then of course, you have the cash value option, whole life insurance, cash value, however you want to determine, that, or however you want to refer to it. This particular solution gives your client 2 different options. You've got to kind of determine which client or which option this client's going to fall in, right? You either want something that has everything under one bucket that may or may not offer you either solution. So if you have everything under one bucket, if you take from one, you're diminishing what the other one could do from you. And that's cash value, right? You know that if you have a whole life insurance or a cash value life insurance policy, that if you touch that cash, or if you're not paying the adequate amount of life insurance premium towards that policy, that at some point it's going to diminish and that policy is not going to be worth the cash value that you were expecting it to be worth. Even much worse than that, if you're not paying the adequate amount of premium for a policy and that policy diminishes because it's not actually receiving the enough premium to keep up with the cost of insurance, then you could completely lose that policy, right? And so making sure that your clients understand that, yes, you are an extremely responsible adult. You already understand the importance of insurance and the type of change and the type of generational wealth that it can provide for your family members. But we want to make sure that you have the adequate amount of coverage and the adequate type of policy for your family's needs and for what the solution is that you want to provide for your family. Whereas if you look at the example, this is specifically cash value life insurance, right? You have 2 clients, $200,000 policies for John and Mary, the same clients that we've been looking at, spending $235 a month towards this policy, right? Just pause it, sorry. Whereas they're paying $235 a month, right? Essentially allowing them the opportunity to have some sort of cash value growth over time, where if they do actually continue paying that premium, they're going to have a little under 75,000. Well, with that same $235 over here at Primerica, with our buy term and invest the difference solution, you're going to be able to offer John and Mary up to $250,000 in coverage, right? And this is just an example. You can play around with different options. You're going to have to determine exactly what your client's needs are and how much coverage they're going to need. But with John and Mary at $250,000 each, that puts them at $500,000 total. That's going to cost them $82 a month in this example, where they're freeing up $153 a month. Now, let's say that you put that money into some sort of mutual fund, something that's going to allow you the opportunity to actually participate in market gains and market losses over time, right? Because we know that you've got to wait it out, right, for you to see any type of growth or any type of success within your investments. With that same $235 that they were investing into a cash value life insurance policy, thinking that it was going to give them retirement or allow them the opportunity to take a loan, you would have been able to not only protect your clients for up to $500,000 in life insurance coverage should they have died too early, but you're also protecting them from living too long. Whereas if they were able to invest that same $153 at a 9% average investment, then they would have been able to grow those same 75,000 to a whopping $282,000 in an investment product over here at Primerica, you guys. And so if this doesn't allow you to see the difference in the solution that we can offer to our clients, then I don't know what will, right? This is essentially what we do, what we're teaching our clients, and how you're going to be able to capture their attention. You've got to be able to educate them and make sure that they understand what is going to be best for whatever their needs are. And aside from teaching them, providing the knowledge, right, in what the industry is providing and what they are missing out on if they don't have some sort of life insurance policy, well, then here we can compare side by side, right? What's in our policy versus our competitors? Well, I mentioned already, Primerica is currently rated A+ when it comes to AM's Best. It's somebody who does, ratings throughout the entire industry. We have term durations up to 35 years, which not everybody in the industry offers up to 35 years in term coverage. Our renewal rates for our clients, the fact that we offer a renewal rate through our end of term options, the fact that we offer a terminal illness benefit on every single one of our policies with no additional cost, but then we give them the option of purchasing, right, that disability waiver of premium so that they can have not only up to $250,000 from that terminal illness benefit rider, but if they have that disability waiver premium, then they have an additional $150,000. So they could get up to $400,000 from their life insurance policy should they ever be deemed terminally ill, meaning that they only have 6 months to live, right? If a client is ever told that. The fact that we allow child rider conversions. If you have your children listed as a child rider on your term life insurance policy, which again, not every single company even offers that, right? Not every company allows their clients to list their children as another insured on their policy. And we're allowing them to then convert these policies up to 5 times the original amount at the age of 25 without having to medically qualify for life insurance again, right? And we know that nowadays, by the age of 25, you can have a lot. I mean, by the age of 25, right, I was getting my appendix taken out, right? There's so many different things that you can run into essentially that can allow or that can diminish your eligibility for coverage, right? And that's the same thing with our end of term. I didn't even talk about that with end of term. With our end of term option, you guys, this is extremely important to note, right? What you're trying to do is you're trying to make sure your clients are confident in the solution. When it comes to end of term, not only do we have some of the greatest guaranteed renewal rates, but we are also no longer requiring at that point when a customer is converting or doing an end of term transfer from a policy they currently have now, right, that's coming to expiration into a new custom exchange, which is another 10-year contract, we're not requiring eligibility. We are simply saying, okay, Thank you for being our customer for the past 10, 15, 20, 25 years. You have reached the end of your term. As long as you're not 71 or over, right? Because we do have to beat that 71 mark because we can't insure anyone after the age of 70, right? We're essentially telling our clients that they can get a new contract without having to re-qualify or be eligible again. And I have talked to RVPs that have been in the business and actually explained this to them, and they didn't even know that this was a solution, right? They didn't even know that they were still eligible once their policy expired for a brand new contract without having to show eligibility or provide, that they were eligible for that policy. And so these are just a few of the things that differentiate Primerica from the rest of the industry. You guys, I could sit here for 2 hours and go on and on and on about our solution versus the competitors, right? But really, you guys, what differentiates us, what differentiates our company is each and every one of you. That's going to sound cheesy to some people, right? But the truth is that without the field force and without you being confident and competent in the product and understanding truly what you have at your fingertips and the type of solution that you can provide not only to your friends, to your colleagues, to your family members, right? But to middle market or Main Street America, because at this point, you have reached a time where you are not limited to your city anymore. You're not limited to your community. One of the greatest things about this company is that you now have access to anybody that you want through social media, through, going on podcasts, right? Doing interviews, exposing yourself to different things and going out there and truly taking on this crusade, because those 80 people that started this company almost 50 years ago now, that's exactly what they did. They didn't have, social media. They didn't have Instagram, TikTok. They didn't have Twitter, right? They didn't have Facebook. They didn't have any of that. They literally met people and went door to door, and they understood exactly what their mission was. And so we have to harness that, right? To be able to get that number one spot, we truly have to understand what it is that we want to do for our clients and the type of solution that we want to offer for everyone, so that everyone becomes competent in their product and everyone understands that we not only are trying to sell life insurance, right? We're ultimately trying to get our clients to become insurance independent. And what other company does that, right? What other company teaches, or what other life insurance company teaches their customers how to no longer need their products, right? And so hopefully this is a good intro. I know we're right at time, so I don't want to go too much over. But Nick, I'm here to answer any questions. I can run through a few more things if you guys want me to clarify anything. But I will go ahead and open up for questions, and I give it back to you, Nick.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Xochi. Appreciate that. You just literally gave a master class about Primerica, the resources that we have available to us on the website, and then also some of the bells and whistles about our product and what separates us from being in the marketplace. I think all of that stuff that you shared tonight was necessary, because we get into this space to where you hear all of this noise about these different products that are out there, whether it's universal life, index universal life, this concept of an infinite banking and all these different things. Yep. And you see it coming through just burning up your social media feeds. And then we even have clients, and some of the RVPs can chime in. We have clients that'll call us and ask questions about this stuff. And let me tell you something, man. I mean, we've been around long enough to where we're anchored in the crusade before. A person who has maybe been in the business for maybe a couple of months, or maybe just been licensed for a couple of months, or maybe a year or so, you start hearing these conversations over and over again. It might make you question, like, okay, like, is there other stuff that's out there that is superior than what it is that we're doing? But I'm telling you guys, what we have our hands on is the best. And then, Xochi and I, we were talking earlier about, man, there's other term products that are out there. And sometimes, we get into this whole like, hey, man, just because something is less expensive, is it better? No, because, we got to look at it from a holistic standpoint and saying, okay, yeah, they might be offering you X amount of coverage for, this much, but what does that contract say? What are they actually offering? What is that policy? Is it a stripped down term? or does it have all of the features and the bells and whistles and stuff like that that comes along with it? So I know some people have questions that are out there. There was one that was posted in the chat, and and so I'm gonna read that one as first, and then as you guys get your questions together, I'm gonna just hey, just raise your hand, through the reaction on Zoom, and we'll call on it. And then, but I'll give the RVPs an opportunity to go first before I read this question. But Andrea, Benicia, did you guys have any comments or questions or feedback before we got into the questions?
I would just say that, man, way to go through. Even though we couldn't see your screen, you went through the information. Like Nick said, I felt like, and I texted him, I was like, are we supposed to be looking at it? But it was really good, especially showing all of us where they can go to latest news, right? And to be able to look to see what is the latest and greatest. And I'm telling you, my favorite part is being able to pull back a life app that might have a bad email address. Yes. So when I saw that, I was like, oh, thank God. But no, just so good to see some of the information that you started off with, especially about where we rank. And a lot of times I think as agents, we don't pay attention. We start to listen to, like Nick said, the noise that's out there when they talk about, oh, y'all are still doing that. And it's still in that life insurance thing. Well, yeah, we're number 2. Yeah. We're like, we're fighting for number 1. As a matter of fact, you need to get some of this, right? And so I'm so glad you shared that, because a lot of times, we can kind of forget how awesome this company is and how amazing it is to be able to be an industry leader when it comes to life insurance, period, but then also to be an industry leader when it comes to term life as well. So thank you so very much. That was my comment. I was like, man, great job. If anybody has any questions, they now know where they can go to get all of the latest, all of the greatest, and also to find literature. I think that was one of the questions in the chat, where they can find the PDFs on some of the things that you talked about and some of the products that we offer. Thank you so much.
Absolutely. Of course. Of course.
V-Walk, this on you. Talk to us.
Yeah, so I also agree. This has been amazing, the training tonight. I love the fact that they have fixed that with the email and the phone number, because I remember calling you before and been like,
oh, girl.
I'm gonna start all the way over.
Everyone called me.
Like, wait a minute now. So that happened several times. So I noticed that change. And then also I like the information that's populated from the spouse's policy. That is God sent. Thank y'all for doing that. I remember actually calling home office and saying, listen, I have a complaint. Like,
and it worked. As I told the VPs, I'm like, the more you guys call, the more it's gonna work. I promise.
And they said that. They were like, thank you for calling, because we need to know. We need y'all's input on that. So that was really good. And also, like Andrea said, is that like the information, we really don't, I guess, like we'll work every day, the business in the field, and we really don't think about, oh man, we are here as a company, we are, compared to other companies, this is what we are doing. And like the fact that you said, like, we're not trying to keep people, going as far as needing our products. We're actually trying to make them financially free. So that's a goal, that we're trying to do for our clients. And we have to make sure that we're educating them properly and letting them know that we have their best interests at heart, So I thank you for this training tonight. I know it's a lot of other people that have questions in the chat, so I'm going to go ahead. But thank you, Xochi.
Of course. Thank you. Thank you.
Awesome. So one of the questions in the chat was, can someone send, or can the brochures be sent to the client directly from CRM? Is that
so no, right now they don't have it on CRM. That is a great recommendation. We are trying to get them to add a lot of the life insurance stuff to CRM. They built out CRM with securities in mind, just because typically we have the clients already for life insurance. And so what they did is a lot of the CRM stuff that they've rolled out and that's available right now is securities focused. If you notice, there's like 2 life insurance ones, I think, like that are even available on CRM. But that's a great recommendation for like a follow-up email, like kind of how I was talking through, is just kind of having it to where it automatically goes out to any new clients, or if you submit a precision term, where you're able to send that precision term client a quick, like, hey, this is a quick rundown on your product. and everything that's included. So I will definitely recommend that. But as I mentioned, right, they listen to the field a lot more. So any feedback like that, you guys, there's also an area on that section of POL where you can make recommendations too. Okay, so on that little same microsite section, you're able to provide feedback, and it goes directly to the life marketing team. But that's a great question. As of right now, the answer is no. There's just I think one where it's like, if you don't have life insurance, type of email, but not yet.
Fantastic. Well, thank you for that. You know what? And Julie, I'm coming to you. I just got to say this. What you were showing us today, that just proved positive that POL is a fluid beast. And like that thing is evolving and morphing on a daily basis. You were showing that stuff about that one sheet about the claims process. I was like, wow, I'm over here trying to like fumble through telling people what that is, and there's a resource that's out.
There's a whole form, yeah.
Oh my gosh, I'm like, you know, guys, if y'all are like me, y'all know I'm the king of trying to create a one sheet or something like that. Like before you even do that, check POL first.
Yeah, don't do that. Yeah. Don't do that. Like RVPs, if you're looking for a one sheeter on something, or just, I probably created it already for somebody else. So just text me like, hey, Xochi, I'm looking for this. And if I don't have it, I'll tell you like, oh, I don't have it yet, but we can create it. Right. So, but no, Nick, that's a great point. If you're ever looking for anything like, you know, life insurance related, you already know where to go. But you also, even just videos, if you're just looking for, like, you know, we always talk about self-development and just like listening to a podcast or listening to, you know, a TED Talk when TED Talk was like a big thing, right? You have that internally through Primerica. You have different podcasts that are run. You know, Julie does a lot of LinkedIn Live, you know, where she goes on and she does live meetings with other industry professionals. Julie Seaman is our CMO for our company. Glenn does stuff, you know, with different news lines and such. And so there's so much on POL. It's almost ridiculous. And it is almost impossible for you guys to keep up. So we try like this, right? So if I get in front of you, I'm like, hey, let me tell you real quick, because there's so much, you know, so much new stuff. So
So yeah. Julia, talk to us. What is your question or comment?
Well, first of all, I mean, this was just superb. It was excellent information, a lot of things, you know, that just really blew my mind, because I'm, you know, constantly just trying to figure things out, you know, and everything is there that we need. So I really appreciate it. I have two specific questions, a comment. One was on the end of term conversion. I have a client that have a set of twins that's about to turn 25, but I wasn't the original writer of the policy. So how do I go about doing that conversion for them?
So for the conversion, I can actually, if they don't already have the paperwork, is it coming up for conversion, or did they already receive something? Do you know?
It's coming up for conversion.
Okay.
Yes,
so
next month.
Okay. What you can do, I don't know who's your upline RVP, but if y'all could, okay, Nick, okay, just send me an email with, because do you have the policy number by chance?
Yes, they have the policy number, yes.
Okay, perfect. So if you could get the policy number, that's all I need, and I can get you the paperwork. And then on the paperwork, it's similar to like an end of term, right? The child conversion. You'll just sign on as the new agent, technically, right? As their new agent. They always will give the old agent the opportunity first, even if the client, this is just general info. Okay. I always throw out extra stuff. If you ever get another client like this, but maybe they're at the end of their term or whatever it is that's coming up, they're always going to send their information to the old agent, even if you're the new servicing agent, guys. So you do have to pay attention to that, because even if, like, let's say your customer, you met them 10 years ago, they switched to you because they moved to your city and now they wanted you, right? If their policy came up to end of term conversion and the other RVP or the original agent, they're always going to get it first. So with those, you kind of have to stay ahead of it, kind of like this situation, Julia. Now you're on the other end, you're going to get the conversion, right? But that's just internally, so you guys know that's how it works. So you do kind of have to keep track of, hey, Mr. and Mrs. Client, I know I'm your agent now, but do you know when your policy is going to expire? That way, you know too, like, okay, in 5 years, I've got to stay on top of this to make sure that we do the conversion at my office. So long answer, extra info.
No, perfect. And then the second question I had is, when we're talking about reconsideration, are there any tips when it comes to reconsiderations or
Absolutely.
best ways to do that?
Yes, and I am glad you brought that up because I could again sit here for 5 hours and barely touch on everything in my realm and my world. But is it okay? I'm going to share POL real quick. Is that okay, Nick? I'm going to show a new resource for reconsideration. Okay, so let me see. Let me go back desktop. We're going to go Edge. Okay, so we did just recently make some pretty major changes when it comes to reconsiderations, guys. Okay, and this part, it may seem tough, okay, from my end, but the company is just getting like zero tolerance, okay? And then we're going to kind of talk about why, and then what their process is and what they're going to require moving forward is going to look like. And thank you for bringing this up because this is a major, major topic, and this actually just came out like a couple of weeks ago. I think they just released this to the field, but let me go back and walk you guys through how to get there. So when you log into POL, right, you're going to go to your products, life insurance. It's going to get you to the life insurance microsite. On quick links, you're going to select underwriting reconsiderations chart. Okay. I'm going to go to the Life Ops guide first because I do want you guys to get into the habit of using your Life Ops guide. Okay. In case you have questions regarding like processes, regarding what do I need to submit to make sure this change goes through, anything. I'm a major processes girl. Like Julia would have been the one asking this question, right? Like that's just who I am. I want to know the information. I want to know where to find it. Like that just helps me be confident, right? If you couldn't tell, that's probably what I spent 75% of this meeting, doing is making sure you guys know where the info is, right? But if you look on your Life Ops guide, when it comes to underwriting, they're going to give you different tips and tricks regarding underwriting. So this is a very, very important document just to familiarize yourself with, okay? My homework for the team is just every day, go on the Life Ops guide and read like 2 to 3 pages. Okay. You don't need to sit there and take notes. You don't need to read every single sentence, right? But just familiarize yourself with the information. That way, when you run across different situations, you're like, okay, well, I know I read about this somewhere or whatever, so that you know where to reference it. But they do talk about reconsiderations in this document as well. And all you need to do is go to your table of contents and you'll see reconsideration request is on page 43 or 44. Okay, so this is going to give you just general guidance on reconsiderations. Now, let's look specifically at the other form that we were just talking about. What just happened? Okay, so we're going to go to the underwriting reconsiderations form. Can you guys see it? Let me make sure before I go on. Okay, so on this document, you're going to be able to see, I'm going to minimize you guys. I can't see y'all's faces for now, but you can see on this request for reconsideration that this is what they're going to require your clients to do. They will no longer accept a reconsideration request without new or additional information, meaning if the applicant believes that the assessment is not accurate, that we have declined them, that we have rated them, that we have changed their rating from standard to tobacco, whatever the situation is, underwriting will review any request for reconsideration that actually provides new or additional information. I'm going to talk about what new or additional information actually is. Or the policy owner being responsible for any and all of the costs associated with the new or additional information. We're going to talk about that a little bit too. Any reconsideration that's received without new or additional information, meaning all you did was send an email into underwriting saying, my client is not a tobacco user, period. Or my client said that they are not a tobacco user, period. They are not even going to consider. They're not going to respond. They're not going to consider. They will not even acknowledge anything that is done like that. New or additional information has to be submitted. Examples of new or additional information should be dependent on what the action was. If your client was declined due to prescription history, medical background, information from a doctor, something that we're pulling up, we're going to look, if you say to me, Xochi, my client is saying that that is not them, that they have never, ever, that they don't even know that this doctor's in New York, they've lived in Texas, right? There's so many different scenarios that you can run into. If that happens, we're going to do research on our end first. Okay. I'm going to say, okay, let me reach out to someone. Let me figure out what's going on. That's weird. It's not, something is not matching up. Okay. Primerica is going to check. They're going to verify. If they say to me, Xochi, this client has this, and they specifically state a specific medical condition, or they say a doctor's name, and we confirm it with that client, and the social matches and the date of birth matches and the name matches, the only way that we're going to correct something like that is with an actual letter from their doctor saying that that is not them. We cannot, what we see or what the underwriters see on our side is black and white, right? Like they see paper and that is it. They don't know the customer. They don't have a relationship with them, right? That's the reason why you will never, ever, 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 as a field-facing agent, probably speak to an underwriter. That's just the reality. Like they keep underwriting, and even me, like the only person I really talk to is David Chadwick, and he's the head of our underwriting department. And that's because I have like a major issue. Like they don't let us talk to the underwriters. Like that's just, they don't want them to have any type of emotional feeling, right, with any transaction. They're supposed to be just black and white, almost like an actuary, right? They're protecting the company and making sure that we're assessing the risk properly, right? When it comes to reconsiderations, we have to think business. We have to think profit, right? Unfortunately, that's just the reality, right? I don't know if you guys know, but when it comes to life insurance, it takes like 7 years for any life insurance policy to be profitable to a life insurance company. Okay. Like, and this is just industry wide. This is not a Primerica thing, right? This is everyone. And so when it comes to recons, it is extremely important that you reference this document depending on what it was. Did we decline that client? Did we rate them, right? And then what was it? Was it the information from Milliman? If you're not sure who Milliman is the company that provides us with all of the client's prescription history, right? And so if a client gets denied, the first step is going to be reaching out to Milliman, right? Here is the different ways that you can access the information. You can either access it online. Your client has to submit the request, guys. There's so much little things that where we think we're helping a client. When it comes to medical backgrounds, do not get involved, okay? If your client needs to pull their prescription history, do not put your email there. Put your clients, right? Because that's HIPAA violations. Those are major, major issues that you can run into. But all of this is all of these resources, or all of these different companies that are listed here, are the people or the information that you're going to have to get in order to request a reconsideration. So basically what I'm saying is, if whatever reason we give, whatever reason that we give for that decline, and if you're not clear on it, again, reach out to myself. If you guys, have access to a platinum partner, reach out to platinum, but it all depends. Reach out to me if you're just even looking for guidance. Don't submit something thinking that, okay, well, I just answered to the memo, they're going to respond or they're going to reissue it. No, they're not, right? You have to submit. The company pays so much money now ahead of time to be able to access our clients' background information that they are taking this extremely serious. You have to go through the process. If not, they will not even consider your client's recon at all. Okay, so access that document, kind of read through it. If you run into a situation where you're just not clear, it's the first time you see that type of decline or that type of rating, just reach out to me. Okay, shoot me an email, send it to your RVP. Hey, can you send this to Xochi if you don't have my contact? And we'll make sure to get clarification. But right now they are this is the first month that they are today. Literally, they were like, we had to turn down so many reconsiderations. This is going to be a huge learning curve, right? So I'm so glad you asked that question, because that's a very important question. So thank you, Julia.
Just one last
Yeah,
thing, and then
of course.
on the PowerPoint slide that you had, the life insurance, there are 2 options.
Yes.
Was that something that you created, and is there a way to like build in calculations for that? Because sometimes you're talking to a client and they want to see what their numbers are versus what.
Yeah. So the one I have are actual slides from like a training that we created. And I'm sure, actually, let me see. I'm sure I can make it to where you can, let me just try it so I can answer it here and you don't have to wait for a call back. Let me just see if I can change it. Yes. So you can change it. on the slides, but it's not like a calculator. So you would have to like get the information and then create it and enter it for them with my slides. But I can see if there is some sort of calculator from like the F&A tools and all those tools that everybody has that has something similar where it'll kind of build it out. But the slide itself, you can take the client's info and plug it in for yourself. So I'll share that with you, Nick. I'll just send you my whole presentation and feel free to disperse it to the team.
Thank you.
Of course. That's what I'm saying. Like anything like that, if you guys are looking for training material, you know, different training decks, just reach out. Like if it's probably been created before. So
This is awesome. We got time for maybe 1 or 2 more questions. Anybody else have any questions for Xochi?
it's okay. I promise you can ask any question. If I went through something too fast, if you want clarification on something, just remember, if you have a question, somebody else probably has the same question.
Thanks. All right, going once.
I'm trying to think if there's anything else major that I should update you guys. We talked about, yeah, we talked pretty much about all the major new things. Like I said, we are going to be making some changes, some more changes to the policy deliverables and what can be signed electronically, and they're going to be adding like the blank MRN as one of those documents, but that's going to be happening on the 19th of this month. So it hasn't happened just yet. So hold tight for me on that. As soon as that's out, RVPs, you're going to get a memo regarding that. And then we can always do, you know, I'm going to do a territory-wide training on that just because it'll be, you know, for everybody. But I'll send out the invite for that probably next week. We do have I don't know if any of you guys went to the Houston citywide that we had in April. Was it April already? Oh my God, time went by so fast. But there's a Dallas citywide this weekend. So once I come back from that, it'll pretty much be go time for the new release on the PDRs. So no questions? Good.
All right. Well, if you guys don't mind.
Well, I have one question, or maybe it's a statement. Okay. Is it all right?
Of course. Yes.
I couldn't get to the hand thing to raise my hand. I'm sorry, Nick. Does someone else have a question? No? Can Nick hear me?
Yeah, go ahead, Mom. I can hear you. Yeah, go ahead.
Okay. Okay. Now, you mentioned, and I didn't know this was the case. I didn't really even think about it. When it comes to the options of, selecting, terminally ill or disability, right? And I didn't know it was stacking. That's what I'm going to term it as, stacking.
Yeah, it is.
Okay. Yeah, because someone can claim a disability first, not knowing that it's going to go into a terminal illness, right? Yeah. Or a terminal illness will arise while they are claiming the disability for the waiver. Okay, so that was new to me. And so you can stack. I did understand that interpret. Okay, I interpreted
the way that you're understanding it is absolutely it can be stacked. And I'm going to add to that one more thing just because I keep adding information, but for the disability waiver of premium, right? So you have your terminal illness benefit rider. If you have just the terminal illness, you're going to get 40%, right, of your death benefit advanced, or 250, whichever one is pretty much less, right? So 250 is where they're going to cut it at. If you have the terminal illness benefit and the disability waiver of premium, now you have up to 400,000, right, that you can take out of your policy while you're alive. The disability waiver of premium, if the clients are using that particular rider, I always add this because I did not even know this, okay? And this is huge. Like it blew my mind when I found out. But if you have the disability waiver of premium on your policy and we're paying out, like we're essentially paying your premium for you, and you reach end of term, we still continue to pay that premium.
Wow.
We still continue to waive your premium even through end of term, right? Which that is major. I was like, when somebody asked me that, I was on a call and I was like, no, there's no way. Like once the contract is over, right? But no, we will continue to waive the premium. So, but yes, to answer your question simply, yes, it does technically stack. They do work together, they do help each other. And then even more, the disability waiver of premium can go on for as long as it needs to. So
thank you. This was absolutely outstanding, informative. presentation. I thank you so much.
Thank you, Rosalind. I appreciate it.
Awesome. I didn't know that. That's mind blowing.
Yeah.
That was crazy. Well, what a company. If that's it, guys, if you all don't mind, please unmute yourself and let's give Xochi a proper thank you for coming to share with us this evening. If you don't mind, please unmute yourself and let's give it up for Xochi Lopez, y'all.
Oh, thank you guys.
All right,
Thank you
so
so
good.
much,
Thank you so
Xochi.
much.
Oh, it's outstanding.
Great
Yes.
information.
Yes.
Appreciate you.
Thank you so
Yes.
much.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you.
I'm gonna go ahead and stop the recording right here, but we can continue to